But that's not true. I mean, the point is the gap is there still, and older women in particular suffer more from it from younger women. We shouldn't just leave older women, you know, to flounder, should we? Just because they were part of a generation where it was even more difficult for them to get on.
I'm making a specific explanation about where these figures come from, and you haven't really addressed the point that I'm making. What I'm saying is that you can only create this gender gap when you take a broad brush across all genders, all sectors, all work. That doesn't reflect the different choices people make, and employers aren't, you know, shouldn't be forced to pay a full-time salary to somebody who works part-time. You haven't come up with a solution to that, and you haven't addressed the problem with the figures, which is that no serious economist treats the gender pay gap as a problem to be solved. No economist thinks this is a problem because they realise what I'm explaining.
Is that male economists or female economists, just to be clear?
This actually happened to my eldest son, who's in grade 8. He was in the schoolyard playing. A grade 1 girl walked up to him, slapped him across the head, and said, "You are not allowed to hit girls. You cannot hit me back."
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to...
Well, at least she was being honest. You know, and an adult woman who would do that would probably find a way to turn herself into the victim.
Women deserve a safe space on campus. Queer people deserve a safe space on campus. Trans people deserve a safe space on campus.
Groups exist because of that, right?
You mean enough? Why do men need a safe space on campus?
Why do men need a safe space? Because the very idea of an event where men are talking about men's issues in a non-sanctioned manner, then you have what happened at the Warren Farrell protest. I don't know if you watched the footage of that, right? But if I were one of the men who was trying to attend an event talking about male suicide and all kinds of other stuff, and I had some woman who knows she can get away with it up in my face calling me every name in the book, screaming at me, I don't think I'd feel very safe, right? Okay? And frankly, men are the majority of victims of public sphere violence.
I'm not saying that any of those statistics or male suicide, any of that stuff exists, because it does. Men are the victims of more workplace violence, workplace like suicides, low enrollment rates. That said, that's not systematic oppression in society.
Really? I think that when a 6-year-old girl can hit another child and get away with it and never ever have to suffer retaliation because he's a boy, okay? I think that's systematic. How? Because if the system intervenes and punishes the boy for hitting back, right? It's systematic.
I think that that if we want young people to speak out and to feel comfortable expressing themselves, then what we need to do is make the internet a place where they can do so. That means bringing in sensible laws and training the police to deal with these kind of things. With this, we need straightforward training on when to act and when not to act, to make sure that the worst things, the rape and the death threats, the horrific harassment and abuse is dealt with. And I think that when we see a few high-profile individuals, perhaps including some in this studio, locked up, it'll be time for other people to back off.
Okay,
and I very much look forward to that day.
People can be made to feel victimised and very nervous and scared of the internet, whether that be men or women. But actually, I want to put, and it's both kind of very pathetic view of how people deal with insults and words, because really most people, especially on Twitter, when they receive this kind of crap,
rape and death.
Rape and death threats are bad, but when they receive this kind of rubbish on Twitter, they block or they ignore. And I really want to pick up on this idea that women,
please, Kate, let us.
It's very telling. That's kind of, you know, this is what happens. Middle-class women decide that they want to take on the plight of women, and that women are victimised. Women can't handle the internet. It's absolutely ridiculous and disgusting and sexist and patronising to say that women can't handle the internet. The internet should never be a safe space. The internet women should be able to experience everything about public life. We fought for that throughout history, and here's somebody who wants to shut us away from it.
You just yelled out that all of us were racist. And then you asked a question. And then you asked a question. And the question was? Why are there only white people on your panel? There you go. It sounded better when you were yelling it with a chorus of backdrops. Let me explain. Okay, can I answer your question? Can I answer your question? Do you want an answer? Would you like an answer? Here's what's... No, you don't know the answer, sweetheart. Let me answer it for you. Listen, you have... right here on this panel, you have a gay British Trump supporter, okay? You have a lifelong registered Democrat, open feminist, who's not a third-wave feminist, and you have a French-Canadian Christian conservative. So you may ask, why is there only white people? Because the only diversity you don't care about is that of intellectual diversity.
Right! Yes!
Please be seated.
One second.
Please be
Thank you
seated.
very much. I appreciate the applause.
I think it's about confidence. I think women suffer, again, we're not talking about all women, we're talking about some women, we're talking about some men, from lack of confidence and from something called imposter syndrome, where we attribute our successes to external factors and we lack the confidence to actually believe that we are good enough to do it.
Sorry to interrupt you, but if you're going to get put off a career in science because of an offhand comment from a Nobel Prize winner, how committed were you really in the first place to being a scientist? I mean, it's This is based on an assumption that there ought to be some kind of gender parity. My suggestion is that there isn't. We don't complain when women dominate subjects like nursing. We shouldn't complain when men dominate subjects like physics.
I don't do when you get mad.
You sound stupid.
Fucking dirty bitch.
You know me?
It's almost victim blaming in a way to suggest that the reason why there's an overrepresentation of a particular kind of person is because the other kind of person just isn't quite up to it. Like, it's ridiculous. If that was the case, we don't live in a meritocracy. So
it's nice to have these sort of vague, waffly, sort of everyone has varied interests. What the science suggests is that, for example, when it comes to IQ is distributed differently between the sexes. Now, IQ gets a really bad rap because it's not a great indicator of some things. It's said to be sexist, it's said to be biased towards white people, whatever. The point is that it tests, in this case, it tests all of the skills that make you good at chess really well. It's about puzzles, it's about games, exactly the skills that make you good at chess, make you good at IQ. Now, the way that IQ is distributed differently in the sexes is that women tend to cluster around the mean. Women are more likely to have an IQ that is somewhere near the average, whereas men go right to the top or right to the bottom more often, which is why you get great genius male artists and philosophers, but it's also why men fill the prisons, because men seem to occupy more of the ends of the IQ scale. And now IQ is pretty much the best measure we have to predict whether somebody will be good at chess.
And what it proves, and what it also proves, that men and women can talk forever. It's been a pleasure talking to you both. We're going to leave it there. Thank goodness we're all different.
Yes, indeed. Thanks.
Bye.
Can you tell who lost the debate?
I do agree that there is stigma that I have to deal with because I am fat, but I'm actually really in celebration of my body. I find beauty in diversity. I think we come in all shapes and sizes. You must overeat. You must have an eating disorder. I know that not to be the case. I know you can have a healthy relationship.
Now, Mimi, you say this is misleading. Go have at it a little bit.
Well, I certainly think that we all want to feel good about ourselves. That's understandable. I don't think people should feel demeaned by their size. And I also couldn't agree more with the message of daily exercise. No matter what size you are, you'll certainly benefit from daily exercise. You can't be healthy without that. But then let's talk about where we disagree. Look, if you want to feel good about yourself, it's impossible to feel good about yourself when you're doing something that's self-destructive. Also, self-destructive behaviors that result in damage or debilitation or even disfigurement to the body, that's never going to be perceived as beautiful.
Is that I think that the Hayes approach, the health at every size approach, has been documented to work. And it's been documented to work year after year.
What do you mean work? What do you mean work? Because a health at every size is a lie. If you starve yourself into damage, that's unhealthy. Or if you eat yourself into damage, that's not healthy.
You're making a lot of assumptions.
That's just not.
Here,
that's not true.
You're making a lot of assumptions.
That's like saying
about
that.
Weight
let's
being
say you were a smoker. Let's say you're a smoker and have black lungs, and you try to say that's healthy because you don't have cancer yet.
Because tonight, we're not pointing fingers at these kids. We say, Lord, we are the men. Please drop the girls. Because we pray for...
Assume that you're a cisgender straight woman because you obviously and that you probably haven't ever been raped. Either.
I actually identify
so
as an attack helicopter, so it's really offensive.
Hold up. Hey, for my niggas who be thinking we soft, we gon' play. We gon' rock it till the wheels fall off.
You're actually the only woman who's actually featured. Because guess what? It's a bunch of dudes. And I do not appreciate that.
Did you just call me a woman? I'm legally a man.
Are you?
Yes. Sorry guys, there's only two genders, female and male. This is extremely controversial to say. Science and facts, extremely controversial.
Jesus. Oh my God.
I totally say it, that's not how it works. Well, you can't just withdraw consent the next, like, well, that's interesting. Why is that interesting? It's just, I don't know. No, tell me
like a rally for like rapists, like, you know, consent and like.
Okay, so if someone gives consent the night before, and then they have, listen, if they have sex with a man and they give consent to him, then the next day decide, oh, I regret it. I'm going to report him for being a rapist, even though I gave him consent. You're saying that's okay? Just got roasted.
In your opinion, what's the cure to our westernized kind of idea that it's okay to catcall at women and that sort of thing? What is the solution in your opinion?
What is the solution to catcalling? Certainly not walking around in my underwear.
You know that less than 10% of rapes are actually reported.
Okay, where's that?
To the cops.
Where's that?
It's from all of the women's organizations. You can look it up online. You can find it through the socialized organizations that study rape. I participate with an organization that works as a rape crisis center. We base that on the number of calls. The police know based on the unofficial reports, the third-party reporting, and the direct reports. This is not a secret that about 10% of rapes are reported.
So how do you know 10% of rapes are reported if the others aren't?
Because those people call the women's centers, they ask for help, they seek medical attention.
So they are reported.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay. My name is Tanae. I'm the current president of our NAACP chapter.
Great.
And so I just have a few questions. During your entire presentation, I noticed that you failed to mention that feminism is the belief that men and women are equal.
Well, here we go again. Looks like we have another onion boy on our hands that believes definitions never change. Will she stump the Milo, or will she redefine the definition of being completely fucking wrecked? Let's find out.
So do you not think this? And then also, I noticed when you were talking about America's values and about how great America is, you failed to mention that our nation was built on the power of white men without the acknowledgement of black people, the Indians, women at least. So do you not think that men and women are equal? Do you not acknowledge the problems that we have here in America that does, in fact, not make America great?
All right. No. Let's be respectful.
I mean, not triggered. I understand how to handle myself, unlike some Trump supporters.
Guys. It was a perfectly reasonable, respectful question. Let's be respectful.
Thank you.
On the first half of your question, women don't agree with you. Fewer than 1 in 5 women in America describes themselves as a feminist, even though over 85% of them believe in inequality between the sexes. Why? Because they know that feminism has become something different now. They know that the feminism you're talking about, it's very convenient, isn't it, to sort of treat men like shit, and then when people say, I'm not a feminist, say, oh, but feminism's out of quality. But that's not what feminism has become. It's not what feminism is anymore. Feminism is a mean, vindictive, spiteful, nasty, man-hating philosophy.
So
that
why
has very
would you
little, well, let me finish, because I let you finish, okay? That has very little to do with the equality of the sexes, and a lot to do with man-hating. And the way that you know that is women are abandoning it in their millions. Women don't want feminism anymore. They have rejected your version completely.
They don't agree with you. In the UK, the numbers are even worse. Just 7% of women in the UK describe themselves as feminist, despite the fact that 92% of women in the UK believe in equality of the sexes. It's very clear what's happening. They don't believe that those two things mean the same, because if they did, they'd give the pollsters the same answer to both those questions.
Turn down for weed. Smoke weed.
Feminism is the belief that men and women are equal.
Are you sure about that?
Hi, Milo.
Hi.
I'd like to start saying I've survived cancer twice, and I definitely say...
I know what you're going to say, and so does everybody else, but say it anyway.
I'd rather have cancer than feminism.
But come and give me a hug. How are you? I'm fine. Wonderful.
6 months remission, my second time.
6 months remission, second time. Congratulations. I wish you all the best.
Feminists think they are strong because they saw a Tumblr post and lost their shit. Note to all feminists, this is what true strength looks like. Not this. This is retarded. This is the result of ignorant BuzzFeed brainwashing bullshit. Open your eyes, not your legs.
And you darling, and now you think it's funny. You're sitting there laughing. This is exactly the problem. It's not funny. It's insecure sexism, and you're just sitting here doing it flagrantly and without even apologizing.